Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7L today. Got a balance adjustment preview for you guys. Now, I've never really done one of these patch notes overviews where I give you guys my thoughts, but with the recent RTA season ending, I thought it was a perfect time to kind of diversify the content on this channel a little bit and see what you guys think, right? Engage you guys in a little conversation about my thoughts and opinions, and then hopefully garner some of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And with that said, I mean, we might have differing opinions on things, and that is okay. Just keep things civil in the comments, and I'm sure that I will miss some form of perspective on some of these balance adjustments that you guys might pick up as well. So if you, catch any of those, leave your thoughts again down below. But let's go ahead and get started here, because this balance adjustment is actually quite interesting. So we have 7 heroes and 3 artifacts that are going changes. So the thing is, we have a lot of 5 stars being changed here. 2 ML5s, 5 Covenant heroes as well, and then a Moonlight 4-star too. So that is quite a bit, right? 4 Covenants that are being changed. But yeah, this is not normal, I would say. Typically a balance adjustment, we would see a few 5 stars, maybe like 3 at most. They'd also sprinkle in like 4 stars and 3 stars and specialty changes and fillers. But now we're actually starting to see a lot more of just, trying to actually tweak and refine characters to make them more viable. We also see a lot more artifacts now getting reworked, which is a welcome change, especially because most of the 5-star artifacts in the game are completely worthless. Wings of Light and Shadow, Sword of Winter Shadow, and Iron Fan being among them. So let's go ahead and jump into this and see what we got here. Start off, Little Queen Charlotte. So she is going to get a damage buff against dark elemental targets. And that's all she's getting. So right off the bat, I can say that this is not going to solve any of Little Queen Charlotte's problems, right? Little Queen Charlotte, even with this damage bonus, I highly doubt they're going to allow her to one-shot something like a Proof of Valor A Ravi or even an ML Caloric. And speaking of which, those are probably the units that you want to bring Little Queen Charlotte into, because you want to, well, nuke them. Yeah, so everything else that's dark, she probably does okay against. I've been using her, especially in the last stretch of the season in RTA, and most high-level Little Queen Charlottes are built with bulk instead of damage. You're still going to get, 3.5k to 4k attack, and you're still going to have, 250, 270, 280 crit damage. But most people just sacrifice speed and they build about 18 to 20k health and about 1,200 to 1,400 defense. So the problem with LQC is that she is very stat hungry. I believe she has the same stat line as Luna. I think they're the same star sign. But Luna just gets 30 free crit, like, just for existing. Same thing with A Ravi, just free crit rate for existing. And we're going to see later, Summer Charlotte just gets free crit rate for existing. And crit rate is one of the hardest stats to get. If you get 30% free crit, by the way, that is having the equivalent of 6 max rolled crit stat lines, right? Because you can get up to 5 crit rate per roll, assuming you're rolling 85 gear. Yeah, that is a lot of rolls that can go into bulk, that can go into speed, that can go into damage. That's what Little Queen Charlotte needs, in my opinion. And also, speaking of ML Caloric, I mean, she just absolutely implodes to ML Caloric. He's the reason why she kind of fell off in the meta, because he can just S2 her, grant his whole team a barrier, and attack down her, and just, she can't do anything. So even if you have an attack buffer, you attack buff your LQC, she gets stripped and she gets attacked down. Yeah, that's a bit of an issue. So I don't think this is really going to solve anything. It's a welcome little bonus damage, but yeah. Anyway, moving on here, we got Spirit Eye Celine. And it's not really a major change. I think this just should have been what Spirit Eye Celine was released at. Now, instead of having a 35% chance to use her enhanced attack, she has a 50% chance, and when she is possessed, the chance is doubled. So you're guaranteed, when you pump your S3, you're guaranteed to counter with an enhanced dual attack. Or, not an enhanced dual attack, but an enhanced attack. Yeah, nothing much needs to be said, right? Possessions amount absorbed health increase, which is kind of nice for keeping her alive. It basically just gives her increased lifesteal, but the fact that it now procs 100% of the time, that's pretty much all the players have been asking for, so we're finally getting that. So, beautiful. Moving on, we got Jacko. Quite surprised they're buffing a collab unit that is not currently having a rerun, but hey, maybe Guilty Gear rerun number 4 incoming? But with Jacko here, she essentially turns into a Fire Euphine, right? Before, it used to be that if someone attacked when the target is stunned, she increased combat readiness. Now, as long as the target has any form of debuff, she'll increase combat readiness not by 20%, but by 30%. And now, instead of inflicting a stun on her skills, she will start inflicting random debuffs, including stun, but it'll be stun, unbuffable, decrease hit chance, or restrict, which is a kind of nice array of debuffs there. In general, I think she's going to be very good. What's holding her back is going to be the fact that she is a fire element, but she is a lot more versatile than Euphine, I think, with this. Now, of course, Euphine has her upsides as well, being able to penetrate defense and all those shenanigans, but Jacko is a good bridge unit now, too, because now when she defeats an enemy, she increases the combat readiness of all the allies, and she gets an extra little damage bonus to her S3, but yeah, in general, I think she's going to be pretty nice. She's definitely going to be seeing play. Smallgate acknowledging the Zeo aggro comps and just kind of feeding into that a little bit more. But yeah, Jacko's definitely going to be a welcome addition there, and I'm going to try to use her. We'll see if we can. Next up, we got Summerbreak Charlotte. Now, this is a big one. Not a pun. Not intended, I know. But we definitely got a big one over here. So now, not LQC, this is the other Charlotte. Summerbreak Charlotte. SBC, I guess. Summerbreak Charlotte increases more of her combat readiness when she attacks, which is quite nice. And she also starts with full fighting spirit, which is beautiful. She also gets extra crit hit chance, which is perfect. I mean, lowering the stat line that she needs to function, because she needs bulk, she needs damage, she needs everything, maybe except speed. You can forego some speed if you would like. But most popular builds are on some form of a lifesteal set to sustain, and she's going to be healing up quite a bit too because of her AoE. Now the other fantastic thing is that when she has 3s now, it dispels all debuffs from the caster, and she will penetrate the target's defense by 50%, and this will now consume Fighting Spirit, which is quite nice. Yeah, so there's no more like kind of cooldown. Now, one thing I do have to throw out a Smallgate. Why does Ken, who relies on Fighting Spirit for his S3, why does he still have a cooldown tied to his S3? Just asking you, Smilegate. But anyway, Summerbreak Charlotte still starts the battle now with a enhanced dual attack. So yeah, that's going to be huge. You get a free AoE uncounterable attack that can inflict a defense break. So it's pretty good. I'm definitely excited to use her. She has definitely much more potential, and being an ice unit that can AoE, that's uncounterable by the way, is gonna have a lot of use, I believe, in RTA, or at the very least you can use her and splash her for some fun teams when you're climbing. Next up, we have Sharon. So Sharon is kind of interesting because now her buffs that she grants, the random buffs, last for 2 turns, which is great. But they changed some of the random buffs. Now, increased crit chance was literally the worst buff that exists in the game, because if you're building a DPS, no one's building a DPS unit at 50 crit rate, and coping that they're gonna end up getting the increased crit chance buff to guarantee crits, right? So, and if you're not building a unit with crit rate, they either A, can't crit, you know, or B, they don't need it. I guess there's 3, or C, they're not damage dealers, so crit chance doesn't help. but they changed that for increased speed, which is a universally great buff. And they changed the continuous healing to immunity, so not bad, right? Immunity is definitely something that's quite valuable right now, especially with so many units being able to just strip, right? Every unit now, it seems like, has an ability to strip some sort of a buff off some other character. The other thing is that when she decreases buff durations, it'll decrease buff durations by 2 turns, which is not too bad. It's okay, because with immunity buffers running amok, right, you kind of want to be able to strip that immunity. So this is not bad. This doesn't strip any buffs, but it just universally decreases buff duration. So they can have like 5 buffs on themselves. As long as they're 2-turn duration, you can essentially, quote-unquote, strip all of them, which is quite nice. But yeah, other than that, functionally, she hasn't really changed. She did get an EE a while back, but I don't think this is going to boost her up into playable status. She's just going to be more of a fun unit. I've been using her quite a bit in Guild Wars, but she'll just be more viable as a fun unit. We'll have to put her to the test to see how well she plays out. But yeah, she's way too dependent on the opponent to kind of do her thing. So anyway, moving on here, we got Aruna. This is the buff that everyone has been asking for, right? Or is it? So in this buff, she increases the attack of the caster for 2 turns. That was originally what she did, right? Before attacking. But now she loses that attack buff, but she gets increased damage dealt against targets that are granted a barrier, and when she defeats an enemy, it inflicts extinction and resets the cooldown of the skill. So I think one of my friends put it really well this way. Why are they resetting the cooldown of her skills when she kills if she can't kill anything to begin with? If you've used the Aruna, which I have, I Grace of Growth her, and I've tried her out. She just doesn't really perform up to par with what is kind of expected, right? She can't even one-shot units with barriers now. This modifier here has to be insane in order to be able to one-shot tanky units with barriers. Like, this has to be insane. The fact that they're taking away the attack buff, I hope this modifier allows her to one-shot things. Now, the good thing is, if this modifier is insane, then you can give her an external attack buff, right, ML Calric or some other unit, and then that enables her to deal even more damage. So it could be good. It could be good. It just really depends on the modifiers, and we won't know that until the data mines come out or we get to test her out in-game. But moving on, we got Assassin Cartuja. He is just a weird unit right now, I think. So instead of inflicting bleed for 2 turns, which is a useless effect, he gets a 75% chance to provoke, which is quite nice because when he evades, he gets to push up, right, combat readiness. So it's not too bad, a little bit of synergy there. He also gets to increase evasion by 50% by default, and increases evasion of all allies except for himself by 20%. Which is good. He essentially just does what he's always done, but they took the EE that gave him, yeah, see this EE down here? They took that EE and just incorporated it into his kit. They're like, alright, we'll just give that extra 5% boost to the evasion, and then they replaced that with increasing the evasion of himself by an additional 20%, which is okay, actually, because that could mean that if you, with this 50% plus 20%, you could run a form of like an artifact that lets you evade, right? I think that would probably work out. Yeah, not too bad, I would say. If you're playing evasion memes, then this is definitely the way to go. I think evasion's cope, so yeah, because that's how I lose to Aiden every time. While Riley always gets crit. But yeah. That's it's not too bad. His imprint concentration has changed to effectiveness, so I guess they want him to be this kind of bulky support unit type thing. The attack wasn't really helping him anyway, because people built him with a bunch of health, because you want him to survive. Alright, moving on to the artifacts here. Yeah, not really big changes, I would say. Wings of Light and Shadow, this is Ilanov's artifact. They basically just remove the single attack condition, which doesn't really change anything. It just allows units like... oh god, I don't know, would it... I don't even know who would probably benefit from this. Most units would want to use Elbrus regardless. And if you want damage or mitigation, you're probably going to be using Charlotte's artifact, like Summer Charlotte's artifact instead. The Mature Sunglasses, because it mitigates the crit damage that you take, and it increases the amount of crit damage that you have. Yeah, this is just in a little weird spot. We'll see. Maybe someone will come along the way that will be able to use this. But I'm glad that they did get rid of the single attack condition. That did kind of hinder it, you know. I've like thought about putting it on Charles, for example. But because it doesn't work with his S3, you can't S3 and then on your subsequent like attacks, you know, get the extra bonus on his S1 or S2. But yeah, just a nice little touch. I don't really know. Night artifacts are kind of consolidated within like 3 things, right? You either have mitigation, you either have Elbrus, or you have like a niche little thing like Holy Sacrifice and Mature Sunglasses, right? Those types of things that only a select few units would be using. Next up, we have Sword of Winter Shadow. Now this is Ron's artifact, and after using non-attack skill, you have a % chance to gain 10 souls and remove 10 souls from the enemy. Now, it's way better than what it was. Will this see use? I don't know, because the chance to gain souls is awful. You're going to need to 100% this. You need to max limit break this. So either you're pulling a ton on Ron's banner for some reason, or you're using Bottles of Knowledge on this, which is probably not advised. But yeah, I don't know if this will see use, but not necessarily because it's horrible. This is kind of like Flan's artifact, right? The Unseen Observer, but it just is like Flan's artifact works at +0. You're gonna get the souls. This has a % chance. You're gonna need a maximum break this. I think that's the only thing that's gonna hold this back from seeing a lot more use. Next up, we got Iron Fan. This actually got completely reworked. So damage dealt increases of 16 to 32% when attacking ice element target. So just, I don't know, you hate ice units for some reason. But it got completely reworked so that anytime you attack that hits all enemies except with a basic skill, it increases the combat readiness of the cast by 15 to 30%. Now 30% is a huge amount of combat readiness. This is Bellona's artifact, and this actually kind of works pretty well with her skills for turn cycling. It could be a pretty decent PvE artifact, actually, on her. Maybe you can speed up your Azimanic runs and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of this. It's a nice little touch. I don't know what other units can really use it. I haven't really thought about that, but if you guys have any ideas for any of these artifacts, or in fact any of the heroes that we've mentioned in this, let me know in the comments section down below. But yeah, with that said though, that is the end of the balance adjustment preview. Thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe for more Epic 7 content. And until next time, take care.